and she's seeing a guy who sounds really nice and is taking things very, very slow. So obviously we're saying like, this is so lovely, like a really nice change for you. And then she literally said, oh, I know, but I really just want to be railed. Hello guys, welcome back. This is Love What Luck. Hope you're all doing well. If it's not your first time here and you've been listening now to 2, 3, 4, 5 episodes, but you still haven't followed me on Spotify or YouTube, and you still haven't left me a little review, then what are you doing? Please do so now. I'm just gonna come straight out with it before I give you the tea and the, juicy juice from this week's story. Help me out and give me a little follow, let me help you, because the more follows I get, the better the reviews, the more people it gets out to, and the better stories I get. So, I'm starting this episode very demanding, but if you don't ask, you don't get, and actually you guys have been so good to me lately. Your messages this last week have just honestly made my life. I don't know why, I just feel like I've had maybe a little bit more messages than usual, and yeah, it's been really nice connecting with you all, so thank you. Anyway, I'm not going to ramble on. I'm going to go straight into this week's story time. I was with my ex for 2 years. We were trying for a baby, had 2 beautiful dogs, and what I thought was a happy life. We were living together. He was in a dead-end job going nowhere in life, and I encouraged him to change jobs and build a career, which he did. I don't know why that made me laugh. He was going nowhere in life. But can I just say how nice it is? Now, when you are truly, fully in love with someone, that is exactly what you do. And when I read that, I was like, I don't know if I've actually done that to a boyfriend. I don't know, maybe they'll say yeah. I don't think I've ever been in the situation anyway where I've needed to, but like I feel like I definitely do it with friends, like where wherever they say they want to do, or if they talk down on themselves, like because you love your friends, you're always just like, don't be so stupid, you can do it. If my friend says like, oh, I don't know, I'm thinking about doing this, I'm like, just do it, you're gonna smash it, you're gonna be amazing. And obviously I like really believe it. And I don't know, even though this is obviously going to be a little bit sad story in true Love What Luck style, I feel like that was quite nice. Like, I've definitely had an ex that has done that for me. I remember at the time I wasn't working properly. I think I've spoken before about like my 25-year-old breakdown because I didn't have like a career or anything. And he just made me believe that I could do absolutely anything and everything. Like any little idea I had, he'd be like, that's amazing, you can so do that. Like, he was such a good cheerleader. And yeah, I just think it's a really nice thing that people do when they're in love. That's my happy take on it. Okay, she says, he started going on drives every Tuesday to clear his head, as he loved driving. I didn't think anything of it. 3 months went by and I ended up in A&E one Saturday. Rather than come and be with me, he went on his drive. He didn't even call to check in and was MIA all day. We all know what's coming, I'm sorry. Who the hell goes and takes a drive somewhere over going to see, not even their girlfriend, but like anyone, your friend, a colleague? If somebody ends up in A&E that's in your life, why on earth wouldn't you go and see them and support them? Can you imagine that? I just imagine ringing and being like, I'm in A&E, like I'm severely, violently ill. You probably can't even ring yourself, like somebody else is ringing for you, and he's like, look, would love to come and see you and support you, but I have scheduled a drive-in with myself that I can do any other time, but I need to go today. It's taken like selfish to a whole other level, oh my god. Eventually he turned up saying he had no signal. I then noticed one of our dog's leads was missing. The plot thickens. I love how dramatic these stories are. He was being weird about us going out in his car, but we had to one night as mine was on the blink. The dog lead was in there. Guys, once again, it's given cinematic experience. It's because you just know that like these sequence of events are happening and you're like, something's not right. And, well, this is literally what she said. She said he never took the dogs out in his car. The car stunk of wet dog. It was all very odd. And it's just like what I talked about before, like when you have that gut feeling, you just like know something's not right, but you're trying to like piece shit together. Because like, why is this man going on a drive every Tuesday with the dogs? Like, what is happening? It didn't feel right at all, and I'm not proud of this, but I put a tracker in his car, which, by the way, I love, because that's giving like James Bond. That's on some Mission Impossible shit. Where do you even get a tracker from? How do you even do that? I wouldn't even have the knowledge and the tools and the wisdom, and I don't know, to even think or do that. Like, that's really stepping up the game, and I've got to admire and applaud the effort that you've put into this. That Tuesday, he went on his drive and stopped at an address on his way out and on his way home again. I questioned him about it and said my friend had seen them with someone in the car. Absolutely great lie, can I just say? Straight off the bat, it's like you were made for this. You were made to be a detective. He continued to lie and said my friend was the liar, which is red flag, because if that had actually happened, you'd never call your friend a liar. You'd just be saying, it must be a mistake. Like, I'd never accuse my partner or my friend's friends of being a liar. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a big red flag there. Because usually if you were like saying the truth and somebody's like, my friend saw you in the car, you'd be like, you'd almost find it funny and be like, it was not me. It's obviously somebody else. Like, you'd never say they lying. I don't think anyway. You'd just be like, oh my God, so weird. Like, obviously they've mixed me up with somebody. Anyway, she said, I'd had enough and said he needed to leave. Once the storm settled, we were trying to work it out and have him come home, as I didn't have any proof and he could have been with a mate. Fair enough. Then one day, 2 of my friends randomly turned up to my work. They had seen him in Asda, of all places, holding hands with a girl. Can you even deal with that? You spent all this time going on secret drives on a Tuesday with the dogs, by the way. This is what gets me, right? I've had a story like this before. Sorry, move the mic away for me so I can feel myself going on a rant. I've had a story like this before. I can't remember what episode it is, but it's the story where the guy was in the military and he was taking the dogs to meet the new girl. The dogs didn't ask for this, sir. They didn't ask to be put through this turmoil. When you have dogs, they like your children. And the fact that you're sneaking out the dog every Tuesday as well and introducing her to the new woman and putting the dog through, confusion. Does he accept the new woman? Does he, he can't verbally tell his birth mother. It's very traumatic. And I think, why take the dog along? But anyway, my point actually was, you make the effort to go on these drives every single Tuesday secretly without telling a soul, and then next minute you're in Asda hand-holding. Asda. I don't know where this woman lives, but if she lived in the Rhondda, I don't think I've ever gone to Asda in the Rhondda in Tonopandi, big up, without seeing someone I know. Because everyone goes to a supermarket. So you've literally reached like no fucks given era there. Anyway, she said, 2 minutes later, I get a message saying he can't do this anymore and it's over. Obviously, he knew he'd been seen and was like, shit, now I best tell her. Now. After not only being caught once, again, this is what I don't get, right? When she confronted him and said about finding out, he's been to another address, if you're cheating on somebody, right, and if you ultimately don't want to be him, because remember, he's having like a full-blown affair. I don't know how long he was going on for, but he's going every Tuesday to see this woman, right? If that was me, I'd be thinking, thank God, this is the opportunity to come clean, because, not everyone who cheats is a dickhead, and there's also always like different scenarios, different situations for it. And if you've kept a secret that long, I'm just thinking, if it was me, right, and I was having an affair every Tuesday, hopefully listening to Love What Luck on the way in the car. And if I was having an affair every Tuesday, right, and it was going on for ages, and I had feelings for the other guy, and then my boyfriend said to me, where have you been? I know that you've stopped off somewhere. To me, I'd be like relieved and think, thank God I can finally, even if he doesn't want to admit to the affair, but I can finally say, like, look, I don't want to go into it, but this isn't what I want. Ultimately, just break up, like, that's your opportunity. Instead, you argue, worm your way back in to talk about it, and then blow it later. It's just like, very up and down. I just don't think it's necessary at all. She said we had slept together the night before. Oh, man was having his cake and eating it too, and that makes me quite sick. She was half his age. I was absolutely broken. Oh my God, I literally, like, can you even imagine that? Because, like she said, she's already gone ahead. Okay, I've got no proof. It's been an address. It could be his friends. Although, if it was his friends, he would have just said. He didn't even try to lie about it. So I don't know. It's a bit of a catch-22. But obviously she loves him. And she obviously, like, wants to believe him. So you're giving her another chance. He comes back, which again to me is like, okay, you obviously want to be with me because you're giving her a second chance. And then he just like breaks it up over text and has gone with somebody half his age. So many lies, and I fell for all of it. He took birthday money from my family whilst he was cheating. Absolute arsehole. They got married 6 months later. Oh my God, 6 months later. And I am so glad he is not my problem anymore. I'm thankful for it now too, as I'm so happy, have a beautiful daughter, a new home and boyfriend who treats me like a queen. I just have to skip back a little bit. He was married 6 months later. See, I'm obviously reading a story from a listener, so obviously I've got like more of an emotional connection to the listener. But my romantic side, and obviously this is much easier coming from me, so I don't want you to think I'm being disrespectful, but my romantic side is like, do you know what? You met this woman. No, let me even backtrack to that. You're in a relationship, you're happy for however long, and then maybe without you even realising, he's not happy, right? But he doesn't want to break up with you, doesn't want to upset you, and then he's happened to find somebody that he loves. And while, yes, half his age is just sick, and obviously it makes you disgusted and all the rest of it, ultimately now you can realise that he wasn't the right person for you. Like you said, you're actually thankful for it now because you were so happy. So almost the romantic in me makes me feel like glad that he did get married 6 months later, because I think, okay, you didn't just do it like for somebody random. You did it for somebody that you felt like you loved and was better suited to. And you actually are better suited to her, because I'm better suited to this new guy who I'm with now. And, like, I'm so much happier. So in the end, it all works out. And whilst, obviously what I did is not right and all the rest of it, I don't know. I think this is still, like, a happy ending for everyone involved. And as always, it's just a reminder that when you're going through something shit like that, it's all for a reason. And like when you're feeling shit, it's never the end. Like I literally want to say this every episode, because the messages I get are people saying, your messages have helped me realise that things get better. And literally every story, like not many stories get sent when they're in the midst of it. Most stories get sent when they're happy, whether that's with somebody else or by themselves. And I think, like, you just have to keep reminding yourself that everything happens for a reason. It sounds cliche, but it's actually so true. So, yeah, a positive ending after all of that. And, yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your stories with me, as always. I have noticed this week that I missed one. So, basically, I had a girl comment on something and say, let me know when mine's up. And I was like, have I done yours then? I look back on the message, she sent it to me in January and I missed it. So if you've sent me a story and I haven't put it up yet, just send me a little nudge on like the same method that you message me, because yeah, I don't know, sometimes I'll get a few and I will miss them, and also I want to make sure I share them all. So yeah, just give me a little nudge if you think I'm ignoring you. Basically, I never ever will ignore you. It'll just be that I've like missed it, or I've read it and I've forgotten to reply, etc, etc. I also have to thank you so much for entering the giveaway. We've had lots of entries now. You have to know behind the scenes how this podcasting works. So even though it comes out every Tuesday, your gal has to pre-record it, obviously, because she needs time to edit it. And I don't know why I'm talking about myself in third person, but a lot of work goes into it and I need time. And this week I'm pre-recording it extra early because it's your gal's B-Day. The big 3 too. My birthday is the 26th of July, so it's obviously the day after this pod comes out. Maybe it's even today if you're listening on a Wednesday. So yeah, I'm pre-recording, so I obviously can't announce the winner because it's not time yet. It's only been a couple of days, and obviously I need people to enter. So I need you to know that the winner is going to be announced today, technically, Tuesday the 25th of July. If you've won, obviously I'm going to message you directly. If you want to double check who's won or whatever, then I will announce it on my Instagram. So I'll just put a little post up there. I'm at Sadie Maltby and at Love What Luck. So yeah, a pre-forward congratulations to whoever's won. But current talk, I feel like I'm confusing the fuck out of you, and I can only apologise. It's just hard for me to sometimes sit here and lie and act like it's Tuesday. It's very confusing, and I'm going to stop talking. Basically, thank you all for entering the giveaway and for all your messages. Okay, that's it. I do have to say, actually, that I'm going to do a little bonus birthday episode as well. So make sure you're following me on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, because I'm going to do a big vlog of my whole birthday weekend, and it would be all over my Instagram by now, at Sadie Maltby, if you want to come and check it out. Okay, so I went home on the weekend, back to Wales, to have like my pre-birthday celebrations there, because I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but loads of my family, like my mother, my father and my nephew, have got birthdays in July. So I go back in July and we kind of have a joint celebration. Anyway, so I was back home in Wales and I went down to see my girls, right? And we were chatting, and the chat's always like so hilarious, so funny. And basically, one of the girls, I'm not going to name names, is seeing a really nice guy, which is quite unusual for her. She usually goes for fuckboys, and she's seeing a guy who sounds really nice and is taking things very, very slow. I'm talking like it's been weeks and they haven't banged. So obviously we're saying like, this is so lovely, like a really nice change for you. And then she literally said, I know, but I really just want to be railed. And she was like, I am the problem. I know I'm the problem. And it just made me laugh so much. And then we started talking about like, you know, my other friend was like, well, I know I'm the problem because I've just matched with somebody on Tinder that I've blocked and I've been saying I hate for the last like 3 months. I just noticed my button was undone, sorry. If you're watching on YouTube and you got a little bit too cleavagey there. Anyway, it really made me laugh, so I asked you guys on Instagram, when did you realise you were the problem? Calling him when blocked and withholding my number. That's a low point, I can imagine. Somebody just said, where do I start? Fair. Interesting one from a guy, said that's most people from watching porn. I didn't understand that, and I should have messaged him back to elaborate. But there is a big thing that say like porn is a problem and it's bad if you watch so much of it. But I don't know, I don't fully understand it. I'm going to have to go back to him on that, and then I'll come back next week with an answer. Somebody else said, every time I argue with my husband. Then I had another one, deleting their number, blocking them, and then matching with them on Tinder. That I just cannot understand. And the fact that somebody else has said that means it's a very common thing. It must be, because it happened to my friend. And actually, it's happened to loads of my friends, and the same friends over and over. Why? Why bother? You know it's going to go wrong. You know. You're just tempting. No, what's the word? You're just playing with fire. Okay, when you were thinking of scenarios of how to end it but couldn't explain why, I don't think that means you're a problem. I think that means it's sad. And I think if you can't explain why, like she's put a little crying emoji, which is sad. Sometimes you don't need to explain it. Sometimes it's just a feeling you get where, in the same way that you know something is right and you can just fall in love with somebody and kind of blindly, that's the same like if you fall out of love with somebody. Do you know what, right? My first boyfriend, there were so many things wrong. Obviously, I'd never be with him now anyway. We were like 18. Well, actually, I was 15 when I got with him. So it's not as if like we'd still be together. But at the time, there were loads of things wrong. So he was controlling, yeah. And I've said before, like, I used to cry every time I went out and stuff. Anyway, that is not the reason that I broke up with him. I broke up with him because I just fell out of love with him. I just grew apart, and I quite simply just fell out of love with him. But I remember really not wanting to tell him, and I used to go, have I said this story before? I don't know. I used to go to his bedroom, and I used to go upstairs, and where you'd shut the door would be behind the wardrobe, so he'd be on the bed, and basically where you shut the door, you couldn't see me, is my point, right? And I used to shut the door, and I remember doing it, and just like, giving a big sigh and closing my eyes and being like, I don't want to be here, maybe tonight I'll break up with him. I'm thinking to myself, like, the whole time you need to break up with him, but like not having a heart to. Obviously I was young, and breakups was shit anyway, but when it's your first one, yeah, not nice. So yeah, that's sad. I don't think that means you're the problem. I think it just means that you know what you want, which is always a good thing. And hopefully you have ended it. God, I hope you're not still with him. No, she says when you were thinking scenarios of how to end it. Okay, it's not present tense. We're okay, we're good. If you're listening and you're in this situation, leave, run. The fact I wasted a year knowing I wanted to break up with my first boyfriend but didn't, like, pains me now when I look back. But whatever, it is what it is. Another similar one. Trying to make it work again after breaking up because we were too different. Yeah, I think, right, most couples either get back together after a breakup or at least meet up. There's always a meet up. Wait, hang on. Actually, I don't know about my second boyfriend. Oh, that might be my only one. I was going to say every relationship, but I actually can't remember it with my second ex. But every other relationship I've had, we have either had a meet-up or a message or a conversation, like something ages after the breakup. Oh my God, one ex, we got back together so many times. I broke up with him, and I got back in touch a week later, 2 months later, 6 months later, a year later. He'd message me. Oh my God. That's when I knew I was the problem, actually. That is, the fuck breaks up with somebody and then puts us both through the same thing over and over and over and over again. Yeah, that is the time I knew I was the problem. Doing shit you know is not going to work, but just going ahead anyway. Oh my God, guys, this cardigan keeps coming undone. Literally my boobs, I wanted to say tits, but I'll be more conservative. My boobs are coming out on YouTube. If there's ever a reason for you to subscribe, it's now. Will unbuttoning an extra button get me to 1,000 subs quicker? Please let me know in the comments, because I am prepared to do it. Oh, I've lost my dignity once before I can lose it again. All at once, I've lost it loads of times. Anyway, okay, somebody wrote, still in denial that I am the problem. And I love that. I shared that on my Instagram, and I was like, you stay there as long as you can, gal. You stay in that sweet little denial spot. Okay, then we've got another one. This is from my anonymous section, so you know they go a little bit deeper here. Side note, you know I've got an anonymous link on my link tree, yeah? So if you ever want to send me anything anonymously, you can. He said, I took life coaching and realised my pattern was to find broken single mothers have narcissistic tendencies which would strengthen them to the point where they felt I wasn't good enough for them. Then they would cheat or leave or both. So when I start reading that, I'm like, okay, you're not very nice because you're preying on broken single mothers. But then you're actually pushing them away because of your narcissistic tendencies. So was that something you did on purpose? Or was that just like what's in you? Do you go for broken single mothers? I don't know. You can find broken singles. They don't always have to be mothers. We're out there. Do you go for those because you feel safe, because you are like a narcissist and you're self-involved and you need somebody that's gonna like big you up and stuff all the time. So you go to them thinking that they are going to feed your ego and they're going to take all your shit until one day they don't anymore, because nobody takes anybody's shit forever. Everyone has a breaking point. So yeah, then they cheat or leave or both. That's a very deep one. That's like, it's giving therapy. But you took life coaching, so at least you've like worked towards it. I think that's really good. When I kept accusing him of cheating all the time, when really it was me doing it. Guys, is this proof that the crazy controlling partners are the ones that actually cheat? Because if it is, I need to get back to almost all of my exes. Because I've been with some controlling guys. Does that mean that they were cheating? You are literally the man, the myth, the legend with that. Well, I say the man, the woman, because it's a girl that wrote it. Ooh, that's naughty, innit? I think I would be the same, you know. No, what am I talking about? I was literally about to say, I think I'd be the same. If I was cheating, I'd be thinking this. No, hun, you have been a cheater and you didn't do that. You still was just like oblivious. And I wouldn't say I didn't care enough, but I still just, yeah. I'm not a controlling person. I haven't got that sort of trait in me. Sorry, I thought I could relate to you. Turns out I can't, apart from the cheating part. By the way, I sound like I'm laughing at cheating. I'm not. I'm just referring to a time. We've probably all done it. You know, I was a mess. Sometimes I talk about it very seriously and deep. Sometimes I laugh about it. Please don't come at me. I'm very aware that everything you go through is painful. I'm not like making light of cheating at all. Okay, now, I know we don't want an SOS segment. However, guys, you're going to want to read this message. I haven't even read it all because I read the top bit and I was like, holy shit. The first sentence hooked me. And I was like, I'm going to have to answer this on the pod. One, because she's asking for advice and I could never ever condense it into written words. And two, we have never had a story from this side before. It's basically from the other woman and we've never had that before, and I hope she's okay with it because obviously I haven't responded to her. I hope she's okay with it. She says, "Hi Sadie, hope you're well. Love the pod and the stories on there, so I thought I'd share my current situation and hopefully you can help me out. I am currently the other woman in a married man's relationship and have been for the past 6 months." That's where I stopped. I was like, oh my God. 6 months is a long time. By 6 months, I was... Hang on a minute. Yeah. I was living with Matt. So within 6 months, we'd fallen in love and he'd asked me to move in with him. So 6 months is a long time. He was my builder and the sexual tension was insane. I'm sorry. This is going to give, if any guys listen to this, it's going to send warning signals to everyone. Never ever again, girls, are you going to have to ask your man to do something around the house twice. Because next time you ask him, if you play him this part of the episode, next time you ask him, he's going to do it straight away. You are not going to have to ask twice because he's going to be like, I cannot have a builder in. There's also a really old episode I did with Matt. Obviously, I can't remember the number, but the title will say it. And it was a guy's story, and his ex had cheated on him with a painter that they had in. So let this be a lesson to all men out there. If you don't do the handiwork around your house, we will get a handyman in and we will sleep with him. Okay? Also, people just love tradesmen, don't they, and worksmen. My friend does. She's always like, I just love a tradesman in the outfits. I see her on TikTok sometimes. Anyway, okay. Right. Fuck. Okay, hang on. Whilst he was finishing my bathroom up, he made the first move one afternoon. I knew he was in a long-term 17-year relationship, my God, from the off, and he didn't ever lie to me about it, which I suppose would have been worse if he had done, definitely. At least he's honest. Also, a 17-year relationship, you just know by then things are going to be getting like a little bit dry. Like, I don't know, it's just inevitable. No, I really hope not. But 17 years, that's a long time. He has 2 young kids who are really badly behaved, and he says this causes issues between him and his partner. It was only meant to be sex initially, but we soon developed feelings and fell in love. The feeling is very mutual and we can't stay away from one another and see each other most days. Oh my God. There have been times when his partner has seen the messages I've sent to him and he's always just played it off as me being overly friendly and says she has nothing to worry about. Oh my God, guys, this message. They have recently started going to couples counselling. As she is trying to fix the relationship, and he is to some degree, but continues to see me on the side. I'm getting less and less understanding of this guy. She clearly knows something is up, as she's asked him to have a tracker on his phone as he comes to mine most nights. Sorry, I'm reading this so slow because oh my God, it's bad. He comes to mine most nights and then just goes home late and tells her he's just been working late. We have a 17-year age gap between us, and as much as I love him, I doubt that he'll ever leave his partner for me, and this is something we have spoken about. He always says that our relationship was never meant to be serious and that he can't lose his partner, house and kids, which was really difficult for me to get over as I love him so much, and even got a tattoo which symbolises him. Oh, hun. He denies he's ever done anything like this with anyone else, and he thinks this only started with me because of the issues with the kids and his partner. However, there will never be a future with us. Before I met him, I had plans to move to Australia, and I almost stayed in the UK for him because I really did think he would leave his partner for me at one point. However, after several arguments with this guy about whether he can see a life for me, I'm leaving for Australia in 3 weeks. Oh my God, well done. That's going to be the best thing you've ever done, I already know. And I'm absolutely heartbroken because I genuinely think this man is my soulmate despite me not having a viable future with him. I promised him I would never blow his life up, but I do wonder whether his partner has a right to know about us and that she isn't just paranoid about him cheating. Oh, guys, I'm not qualified to answer this. I know if it was me I'd want to know. I would want to as well. That's the thing. I have such strong feelings for him. The thought of me ruining his life whilst I go and live my best life in Australia also doesn't sit well with me. Well, F that, can I just say? You need to get that thought right out your head because he has fucked up your life a lot and you're in turmoil. Do not worry about that because he's not worrying about what he's doing to you. So get that thought right out of your head. I think the biggest thing you need to worry about when telling somebody is the other woman. I don't think you need to be thinking about him, I'll be honest with you. I'll come back to that. Help. Should I tell his wife or just leave it be and hope he doesn't do it again? In brackets, he probably will. I literally think you've answered your own question there. Yeah. Also, any advice on how to get over someone you really loved in an impossible situation would be much appreciated. Oh my God. Guys, I hope you don't mind me bringing this SOS segment because, yeah, it needed to be done. That was a hard read. I feel very, very sad for her because it's not her fault that she's fallen for a guy, and what you have to remember is this guy is telling her, I'm not happy in my relationship. You know, he's coming to see her all the time. Naturally, she's like, he obviously likes her. I mean, he does. But, and I know this is going to sound harsh, you have to look at the facts. First, you've already said you don't think he'll ever leave his wife, which means your gut feeling and what he's told you and all the rest of it is probably right. So you know he's not going to leave his wife for you. You have to also understand many people have affairs and they do leave their partners, and there's a reason he hasn't, and there's a reason he's going to couples counselling, and that is probably to sort out his relationship. Even though he's telling you he's doing that for her, realistically, right, You can always do something for the person you love. Everyone will. But there always comes a time, and I'm sorry, I think every one of us becomes selfish. There's always a time. I mean, he already is being selfish because he's having an affair. But there comes a time when you're like, do you know what, I'm just not doing this. And he's been having this for 6 months. And I think if he really, truly didn't want to do the counselling and wanted to leave his wife, and if he was that unhappy there and he really wanted to have a relationship with you, he would have just left her. And I think he's telling you that anyway, that it was never meant to be serious. And at the minute, you've been enabling him to do it. So he's not going to change because he's not sleeping with his wife, so he's sleeping with you instead. And that's like what he wants. So I think it's never going to be a future with you. I think it's amazing you're going to Australia, because when you get there, it's going to be the best thing to do. You're going to be on the other side of the world. You are going to end up forgetting about him. You're going to be able to block him. The big question is whether you tell his wife. Oh my God. That for me is the hardest thing. And as I said, it's her you should be thinking about in that situation, not him. Because he's done this to himself and it's not up to you to protect him. He knew as soon as he got with you that there was a risk you could tell his wife. So he took that risk, and whatever the repercussions are for him, fuck him, is what I'm going to say. Because he's made the decision. He has to lie in it. He's made the bed. He has to lie in it. Oh God, guys, telling the wife. The sad thing is, she already knows, clearly, because she's putting a tracker on him. He's coming home late every night. She knows. She absolutely knows. So I almost think by telling her, you're just going to put her out of her misery. And I think when it's out, this could be naive, but the fact they're going to counselling and that, I think when it's out, it could help them. Because you'll be gone to Australia and he's going to tell her that. And they obviously want to work on their relationship because they're going to counselling. And I think by telling her, it might be like a relief for her probably. She's going to be like, okay, I knew it. I'm not crazy. It's going to be really upsetting for her, obviously. But she's going to be like, okay, I knew it. And then they're going to be able to talk about it properly. And then she's going to know whether or not she stays and they actually give her a good go with counselling whilst you're not in the picture, or if she leaves. I think especially because you've said you've had a feeling he'll do it with someone else, which again is your gut feeling, I think you have to tell her. But I think you have to word it as kindly as possible to her, and you have to not consider him in this, and you have to consider her, because you are both in the same situation. You both absolutely love somebody. You're being led to believe one thing, other stuff's happening, and I think you just have to preface it with like, look, I've been, really distraught trying to think what to do here, but I feel like if it was me, I would want to know, and for that reason, I just want to tell you that we've been having an affair. I know he wants to work on it with you. Whatever. I don't know. Get your message ready. But I think you have to know, because I think after the truth, everything is better. You've done it. You haven't got to worry about it. She's going to know. She's going to know she's not crazy. She's going to feel relief. And then they're either going to be able to move forward or they're going to break up. Either way will be better. I think, personally. I don't know, though, guys. I feel very scared to give advice on this because it's a very serious situation. In terms of tips on how to get over somebody you think is your soulmate, it's very, very hard. That breakup that I said I went back to all the time, I knew it was never going to work, but I really wasn't ready to leave him because I just loved being with him and I loved how he made me feel and stuff, and it was the hardest breakup. I think for me, the thing that helped was just trying to remind myself that I knew deep in my gut that there wasn't a future and that we could waste time together. But ultimately, I knew I didn't want to marry him. And in this situation, you've said yourself, there's no future. And you just have to put yourself first and think, I could be with this man for 10 years, but I'm never going to get all of him. And he could, decide one day that things are going good with his wife again and leave. And you've just got to think of yourself more higher. Like, you've got to think of, no, what's the word? You've got to value yourself enough to realise that you can be happier and you deserve more than what he can give you. And no matter how much you love him, that's not enough, and you deserve more. And you have to value yourself enough to think, I want a future with somebody and I want an actual relationship with somebody, not to be this man's thing on the side. I think if you keep telling yourself that over and over, and then you get yourself back out there as soon as you're ready, focus on yourself, all like the usual cliche stuff. You know, you're going to be in Australia, so that's like the best thing. You're going to be in the sun, you're going to be like just having the best time, meeting new people, and just tell yourself, like, it's going to take time, absolutely, but let me tell you why he's not your soulmate. Because you're not with him. If you go to Australia, right, and I'm not saying you should think this at all, please don't go on this hope, but if you're in Australia and then in 5 years' time, or he ends up flying out to meet you, yeah, he's your soulmate. Otherwise, is he your soulmate? Because he's not leaving his wife. And, you know, you were sure he's your soulmate, so I'm sure you would leave a boyfriend that you weren't happy with for him, and he's not doing that for you. And I think your soulmate is somebody out there who does not have to, you know, be in like, unsure of whether he's seeing you. Your soulmate is going to be somebody that sees you straight away and wants to be with you fully and gives you all his time and all his love. And that's just what you've got to understand. But it's going to take time. You have to be patient with yourself. And yeah, you'll be fine. Like, you'll be absolutely fine. Like, look at all these stories that people go through and they all come out the other end. It's going to take time. Just be patient with yourself and go and live your best life. And don't worry about him, which I know is easier said than done, because obviously you're in love with him. But you have to remember that this is his mess. Like, he made the decision, so you don't go worrying about him and his wife. Apart from when you tell her, don't worry about it. Just go on and, you know, absolutely ruin a day. No, I'm just trying to make a joke. Yeah, I think, you know, the truth has to come out, and it'll probably help you all move forward. Also, you're 17 years his junior. Girl, you got a lot of life in you. A lot more than him. You were probably his last hurrah before he goes back into his marriage. Whereas you got years and years on you. You've got enough time to go out, date older men, and even become a cougar if you want. So just go and live your best life. Hopefully this answer wasn't too long, but guys, for a story, we've never had a story from the other woman's point of view. I think you always have to understand that they are a person in, like, the affair, and she's obviously in love with him. So it's very, very hard for them. And as I said, like, she's just being told one thing about how unhappy the relationship is, and you don't know what's true or not. So whilst there's always girl code and all the rest of it, you know, it is hard. Do you know what? I've got this story. I'm actually... I want to keep it, like, very, very anonymous, but it's somebody quite close to me, where he was married and was having an affair for a very, very, very long time with a woman that was younger than him, and then didn't leave his wife until she found out. I don't know how she found out, but then ended up with the woman that he had an affair with, and they were so happy. And because she was so much younger than him, she couldn't have kids, because, you know, they'd had an affair for so long that she actually, like, grew up with him and basically gave up having children because she loved him so much. But they were together in the end, and they were much happier together. And I know the woman, so it is interesting to see it from different sides, and you have to understand that, like, every situation's different. Obviously, there's going to be people out there now who's like, bitch, I've just told you the story about my husband who was having an affair and how it broke me, and now you're saying in some situations to be understanding. No, I'm just saying that, you know, everyone is human. Even the person having the affair, like, he's got to be feeling absolutely shit about himself to do that. Because if he was in a good, strong place, he would either leave his wife or he would tell you no and actually work on his wife. But he's obviously in, you know, just, he is he gotta be in a bad place, or he at least doesn't value himself much. I don't know. Sometimes I like to think that, sometimes I think people are just arseholes. Obviously I don't know you guys, so I don't know. Guys, let us know in the comments what you think, because yeah, that was a very hard one, but I'm going to wrap it up. If you enjoyed the episode, please remember to hit follow, give me a like, a little review, comment, let me know what you thought, all the usual, just help a gal out, show me some support, and yeah, I hope you all have an amazing week. Next time I speak to you, I'm going to be a whole year older officially, and hopefully wiser. Yeah, so I'll speak to you next week. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.